Hello, I am Otsuki, a front-end engineer. My presentation is an ever-evolving dev team powered by the desire for change. So what are team challenges? What do you think? If you work in a team, you may face team challenges every day. If you are a front-end engineer, you might work by yourself. In that case, please imagine you are working with designers or QA. Then it will be easier to think challenges when you are working with multiple people. Our team also faced different issues such as disagreement over implementation or less communication due to work from home. But we've overcome issues, and let me tell you how we did that. Once again, let me introduce myself. I am Tomoaki Otsuki, front-end developer of Line News. I also function as engineering manager and Scrum Master. When you open Line app, and you can find Line News tab, the second from the right. We develop these screens or articles, which is transition from the landing page. When the service was launched in 2013, there were only 2 front engineers. Now we have 11 engineers along with the growth of the service. I'd like to give you background information on our team. We all work from home this year. We use discretionary work system, so working hours are flexible and different. Employment types are varied. We have temp staffs, part-timers. This year we have an intern. So I'd like to talk today's main topic. For you, what is an autonomous team? It could be a team which handles troubles properly without a leader. It could be a team which aims self-improvement of engineering capability. An autonomous team, we believe, is, as the title of the presentation says, a team where each team member has a desire to change and take actions. Actions generated from a desire to change has 2 types. First, a team member who had a desire to change would share the feeling with other members and take a first step for the change. Second, to welcome the desire for the change of the team member and take actions together for the change. An autonomous team is where team members implement these actions and continuously improve issues. When I consider autonomous team, I break the process into 3 levels based on the concept of actions generated from a desire to change. Level 1 is that there are members who have a desire to change, but no action is taken. At this level, problems tend to be unaddressed. Slow communication might happen among team members, such as request of tasks or sharing information could be delayed. How this team is looked from outside. Other people may think each team member is only interested in his work or tasks. In an extreme case, people may think lack of autonomy. But you never know the truth. Team members might have a desire to change, but it is not surfaced as an action. This is level 1. Level 2, there are a few members who take actions from a desire to change. When the team has to deal with a problem, certain people take care of issues actively with a wide vision. Or when the team is discussing an operation, certain people lead and dominate the discussion. How other people look at team. For outsiders, the team functions very well. For people who know the team well, it also looks like the team depends on certain members. Level 3 is the ideal state, as I mentioned before. All team members have a desire to change, and actions are taken and everything works well. When an issue is found that is immediately shared among members, and actions are taken for improvement. Outside people can trust the team and ask tasks with assurance. Even some issues are generated, people are confident that they can overcome them. How is your team status? The desire to change of each member is bloomed as an action? In reality, the overnight change does not happen. Gradually, level 2 or 3 actions are surfaced. When you look back the trajectory, you might feel that the team is becoming level 3. It is ambiguous. So it is helpful to have this kind of measurement. It is easier to realize changes. Our team moves back and forth between level 1 and 2. Just recently, I feel we have more level 3-like actions. From now on, I'd like to share the cases which made me think our team is level 1. When we were level 1, we dropped tasks often. Drop means that a task is recognized, but no one takes care of it. This is a specific example. This is a screenshot of a chat. Code review request is posted many times. Someone in our team has to take care of it, but no one addressed it. Another example is that it is important but not urgent. For us, kind of a migration to TypeScript, this kind of task is not assigned to anyone. All team members are aware that the task has to be done. In other words, everyone had a desire to change, but no action was generated. Next, I will share level 2 examples. At level 2, gradually, team exhibits autonomous actions, but we tend to forget the process of agreement or decision-making, and opinionated actions were taken. Rework or confrontation of implementation ensued. This is a concrete example. The development case after the migration of TypeScript I mentioned before. The code review was requested just before the due date. But some parts of codes are not written in TypeScript. An implementer prioritized the deadline and used JS since he is familiar to it. But a reviewer prioritized the quality and stick to the TS principle. So the conflict occurred. Since the agreement was not made with regard to TS principle at the time constraint, conflict between the deadline and quality occurred. Why these problems occur? Is it a team member issue? I don't think so. When the right actions are not taken, there should be a reason for that. So let's find out such a reason for these examples. The case when a code review was not done. When the team was asked for a code review, one member thought he was too busy to review codes, or other thought he would take care of it later. Another said he knew the review had to be done, but he was not familiar with the specification, so he was intimidated by the work, which may take a lot of time. Another member said he didn't have to review it because there was someone who is more capable than he. So the reasons vary why everyone didn't review the code. But the fundamental reason is that we didn't communicate each other and we didn't understand each other why each member didn't review the code. The second example, the TypeScript migration is regarded as important but not addressed immediately and postponed. Everyone was aware that TS migration had to be done, but interpretation is not consistent among members. One member thought TS migration should be done right away because if it is postponed, volume of correction would grow. Another member thought to do TS migration immediately is difficult due to large scope of impact or priorities of other tasks. Both opinions are correct. So we should have decided what we had to do as a team. We should have understood the decision criteria or value criteria as a team. Lack of this understanding left the situation unaddressed. No TS migration was performed. The third example, after the TS migration, the due date approached. The conflict occurred between the TypeScript versus JS, or quality versus deadline. The background is that the person who asked the review believed it was not so complicated if you don't consider TS or JS, so quick review was appreciated. There was no time, but the review could be done quickly and approval was obtained. On the other hand, the reviewer side thought short notice review is not acceptable. To use TS or not had to be consulted before implementation. TS principle must be upheld. At that time, we didn't understand each other's expectation, how the other person should behave. We didn't understand that. Using 3 examples, I reviewed the background why right actions were not taken. Once again, I would like to consider why these problems occurred. Common reason is that we didn't convey what you think to the other person. We didn't understand each other. Well, it is easy to chastise team members about lack of communication, lack of mutual understanding, but you actually can't improve the team. It's up to your team members. If your team members are good at communication or their chemistry simply works, it could be okay, but it's not sufficient to handle as management issue. I handled this issue not as an individual member issue, but as a relationship issue among team members. Why they didn't communicate was not an issue. Rather, the lack of relationship to facilitate communication was an issue. With this approach, you can have a wider perspective on how you can build a relationship to facilitate actions. The relationship to facilitate action is expressed as mutual understanding. To build an ideal autonomous team, you need mutual understanding. When there is an issue, such as code review is postponed, instead of dealing it directly, you should take an approach to build a relationship which make team members work autonomously when an issue occurred. Building mutual understanding in a daily basis would realize this. To implement this approach, I need strong determination. Setting aside an assumption that I have to give directions or I have to unite team members, I had to believe firmly that once the relationship is built, autonomous actions ensue. I have covered the first part. To become an autonomous team, I shared mutual understanding is important. Now, I'd like to talk about practical aspects to mutual understanding. You might imagine your family or close friends from mutual understanding, or a scene you work with your colleagues smoothly, but it's not very complicated. We need minimum level of mutual understanding to facilitate our work smoothly. I am going to cover what you have to understand mutually. There are 3 things to be mutually understood. Let me explain one by one. The first is the understanding of the difference of each individual. Set of values or communication style are different among people. Work from home has surfaced more differences on home environment or life cycle. What we need is to embrace these differences as natural things, show interests on these differences, and be fair without inferior to superior relationship. This is to mutually understand the difference of each individual. Of course, it is better to understand how we are different, but even though you don't get that level, simply understanding the fact that we are different, and it is much easier for everyone to communicate or share own ideas. The second is to mutually understand team's direction. As I just told you, each individual has naturally different opinion, so there could be a time of conflict. I shared the example of to do TS now or later. When you are in such a situation, if you have a common understanding of team's priority, what has to be done first, then the appropriate decision will be made. That's why to mutually understand team's direction is necessary. The third is to mutually understand what you expect to the other person. In other words, to mutually understand what I can do and what I want you to do. This is the case. To use TS or not has to be decided before the implementation. Other case would be the misunderstanding between a manager and team members without having common expectation level. Things happen like you didn't do what I asked or I did what I was told but not appreciated. Mutual understanding of each other's expectation would prevent this. To deepen these 3 mutual understandings would lead the autonomous team. I have explained what you should mutually understand. So next, I'd like to touch upon how to deepen mutual understandings. From now on, I will share actual cases we engaged to deepen mutual understanding. I will emphasize what we paid attention rather than what we did. So I would like you to take away those points. The first case is when an intern joined our team this September. At this time, our team has been already pretty matured. We had a lot of conversation, and also we established a relationship that we can resonate easily each other. But my concern was that the well-established relationship might intimidate a new intern.
So I use the favoritism map, which just describes all the things you like, and we show them with each other to find a trigger for conversation and mutual understanding. And we made it, and then we put it on the chat, and then I ask to see among ourselves, and that was a screenshot of that chat. In this example, so this is to make a trigger to understand your values and interest. So it's understanding of the mutual difference or individual difference. And then what we paid attention is to start with myself. If you want to deepen the mutual understanding, this is what I pay attention all the time. In order to mutually understand, you have to let the others to understand yourself. So you need to disclose yourself. But disclosing yourself is generally accompanied by the psychological hurdle. So as some people have resistance to disclose themselves to someone they don't know. So it's important to start with yourself, to disclose yourself. And another thing that I paid attention was to create an ambience that facilitates participation. So if you ask everybody to create favoritisms, it takes time, and also there is a psychological hurdle, as I said earlier. So first, you give a chance to casually get involved, saying, just give me a reaction. So if somebody feels that it's interesting and then tries to make a favoritism map, they'll be lucky. And if there's nobody, still, if it gives us the trigger for the conversation, that would be good enough. So as a result, it generated the reaction and the conversation. So summing up this example, so this is about to mutually understand the individual difference. I paid attention to start with myself and to create an ambience to facilitate the participation. So let's take a look at another example. This is an example of making a skill map with team members. Skill map identifies the necessary skills for carrying out the task, and so it's a list of the team members' skill. But so we took having many experience or a few experience for one axis and liking the task or disliking the task for another. So this is a screenshot to make this suggestion to create the skill map. Again, this is the mutual understanding of individual difference. By learning the interests and fields that are good at of somebody else, so it is easy to find out who to go to when in case of a trouble. So in this, when I carry out this example, I paid attention to understand the current status of the team. It takes time to create skill map and show it with each other and then carry out the conversation. So with 11 people in my team, it takes at least 2 hours. And it is also about self-disclosure, so it is not easy. So I understood that it's not an easy thing to do, but we allocated the time of mob work every week. And as I enclosed it with the green square, we started this 1 year ago, and then we considered the timing when some changes happen. So I try to assess the team status before I carried out this initiative. And also, I paid attention to create an ambience to facilitate the participation. So it's not mandatory for everybody, because somebody may be working on emergency work, or maybe some people may not be so interested in. So it was just a casual suggestion to participate. So whoever can start, can start. So the members actually got together and we completed the skill map. I'm not going to the detail of the schema. So if you're interested in, please refer to the slide later. So summing up this example, again, this is the mutual understanding of individual difference. So I paid attention to assess and understand the team status and to create an ambience that facilitates the participation. The third example, which is the last example, so it has a bit different flavor from other examples. Earlier, I talked about the discussion on whether prioritize the quality of the code or delivering in one project. And this example is about the post-release review. I display the log of the discussion when we perform a review. We use TV conferencing and open the editor with co-editing functionality. Members edit data while reviewing. So I'm not going into the detail, so please refer to the slide later if you are interested in. In the upper part of the screen, it says Perceptives of Review. So here, when we do inexperienced deal, in the area of estimate, time allocation, and consensus team structure, we try to discuss concerns. This is to establish common recognition. This is about verbalizing team rules and policies to align the recognition. That is about mutual understanding of the direction of the team. So at the fourth perspective, this is talking about how to submit the code review request. For example, people prefers to ask for the area review request and so forth. This is about the understanding of the team's direction and the mutual expectation. This is another log. This is also a review log. After we defined the perceptives, and we actually made a discussion, and this is a log about that discussion here. TS migration and delivery, which we prioritize, and who makes that decision? Does manager make a decision or team members? So this is the discussion to try to align the delegation level. So delegation level. So we defined the delegation level into the 7 phases, and then we discussed to make alignment of the understanding of the current status where we are. And you see that the 5 stars, meaning like the members, 5 members agree on this point. So this is about the mutual expectation of, mutual understanding of the expectation with each other. When we discussed the delegation level, we have to pay attention whether we have accumulated enough experience to start the discussion. So meaning like we tried to understand the team's status. If you don't know how to carry out the daily work, it's difficult to discuss the delegation level, and also you have to have enough relationship among the team members to disclose yourself to start discussing the delegation level. So therefore, in management, the delegation is an important element, but you have to discuss this after the certain maturity of the teams. And of course, the maturity level will be reached at a different timing from team to team. Summing up, in this example, we try to mutually understand the team's direction and the mutual expectation. And I paid attention to understand the team status. So I have introduce you 3 examples, and then I also talked about what I paid attention to deepen the mutual understanding. So let me review on them. So start with yourself and create an ambience that facilitates the participation, and then understand the team status. These are the 3 points. So understanding the team status was complex. So let me add some more explanation. There are different perspectives to understand the team status, whether the team is busy, or whether the team is used to the collaboration, or whether the team is matured. There must be some other perspectives. As for the mutual understanding, if I try to look up the methodology, there are many methodologies, and they looked all good. But whether that particular method fits yourself, your status, has to be understood before you start. So that's what we paid attention to. And also, what important is the purpose of deepening the mutual understanding. These 3 examples are not the role models, and it's just an example. I picked up the ones that made a strong impression. So in reality, developing a skill map, which is a task outside of our regular work, doesn't happen so often. Just how more than that, we tried to understand with each other during the daily communication. With the daily communication, it takes time and accumulates the mutual understanding a little by little to generate the change. It took more than 6 months until we realized some changes in our team. So I explained so far how we deepened the mutual understanding. So by exercising the mutual understandings, what happened to my team? So that's what I'd like to show you. So in the first part of in the first half, I talked about an example where an important but not urgent task is left behind in the TypeScript migration case. When we started seeing more autonomous activities, a member proposed that we should reveal the reasons why we had not done it yet and build a foundation to migrate in a phased approach. So this is an example where the first person who wants change took actions. So team members offered cooperation, and instead of giving up, we discussed and we were able to complete long abandoned TS migration. So the details of this was presented in another meetup. So if you are interested in, please refer to the past document. And as forgettable task, code review improvement actions were autonomously initiated by team members. A reviewee now attached the difficulty of the review, the stars on the screen when requesting a review, and also, the reviewee offers to explain the background information before the review if the case has a complex background. A reviewer as well changed behavior. He or she now send the first reply quickly, such as review now or review later. So willingness to change generated such action. So there are many other details, changes. So I cannot talk about all of them. But so we are running a Slack channel called Battleground, where people can post any issue they notice. So this is just an example. They are saying that they want to review the code base. So, and in couple with this Slack channel, we allocate 1 hour discussion time to the issue. So this is a log of the discussion of the code base. So in this way, we have both posting place and actual discussion in a pair. This initiative was also started by the autonomous action of our team member. So this idea embodies the willingness of all members to address one of the members' desire to change. So let me summarize what I talked about. So autonomous team that we think of is the team, each members have the desire to change and act together. So mutual understanding is the important elements to create the autonomous team. So by building the foundation on a daily basis, you can address the issues autonomously. There are 3 points to mutually understand: the difference in our personal values, the team's priorities, and what I can do and what I want you to do, expectation. When we do that, I also paid attention to 3 things, starting with myself and creating an ambience that facilitates the participation. And I started by assessing the status of our team. So this is what I discussed about. So last but not least, to managers and leaders, I'm sure you are trying different approaches all the time to produce outcome from the desire to change among your team members. I'm hoping this mutual understanding that I talked about may help you in some way. And if you have another idea of building a team with different perspectives, I'd love to hear your advisement. Together, let's build a team where team members can exercise their full capability. And also to team members, since you are listening to me, it means that you are interested in the team's buildings by some way. So for the team to get better, your desire to change is indispensable. The action of the first step, to take a first step, or the needed. And we also need a person who exercise those first step. But of course, you may hesitate to take a first action, and also you don't know how to start, or how you cannot find the trigger. So if that happens, please come to our teams and let's change expectation and exchange opinions and to find some hint to take actions. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.